What's up, LEGO builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. According to Bricklink, there are over 70,000 different kinds of unique LEGO parts in existence. Now, a lot of these are near identical pieces or, pieces that have printing on them, but you get the idea, ranging from useful bracket pieces and gears to also this. And for most of my mock building challenges, I've had access to many of those parts, but today, I won't be so lucky. Of the 70,000 plus parts available, I am going to build a LEGO Star Wars mock using just 4 different kinds. I made sure to choose my parts wisely, and I decided to go with plates, bricks, tiles, and slopes, the foundation of any good mock. But will it be enough to give me a complete and interesting looking result? Go ahead and execute Order 66 on that like button and let's find out. I've had the idea for a Battle of Mandalore mock rolling around in my head for a couple of weeks now, and I decided to use it for this challenge. Mandalore is a very blocky, rectangular looking city with lots of cubes and squares in it. It basically looks like if Star Wars and Minecraft got together and had a baby and named it Mandalore. To represent this blocky nature, I'm going to connect a series of rectangular plates staggered a few studs from each other with squares at the edges and middle for buildings and a courtyard. So I wanted to give the mock a nice black frame to fit the vibe. I'm going to flip the whole thing upside down and add a row of brick underneath. I didn't start with the frame like I normally do because I wasn't sure what the shape or layout of this mock was going to look like. But once I had that in the bag, it was easy to add in the brick, plate, and tile frame. This finished base looks very promising so far. It's got lots of angles and edges, and all the different little sections fit together and are very proportionate to each other. But it's no Mandalore mock yet, so it's time to add in all the corrupt walls and buildings. Mandalore has a very distinct color palette, lots of grays and blues. So next I'm going to build small walls out of gray brick, lining the walkways and surrounding the courtyard thing in the middle. To add some texture and detail, I'm building the longer straight sections of the walls out of light bluish gray masonry brick with dark bluish gray brick as highlights in the corners. I'm currently working on a large scale Coruscant mock, so I have lots of gray pieces that I can borrow for this challenge. On top of the walls, I'm going to add a row of dark bluish gray tile, specifically ingot pieces for, you guessed it, more texture and detail. Here's a workout challenge for you guys. Do 10 push-ups every time I say the word texture, and who knows, you might be shredded by the end of the video. Mandalore has lots of small, blocky, Minecraft-looking trees spread throughout the city. So at the center of my little courtyard, I'm going to build some small retaining walls with some dirt inside. Watching me struggle to try and connect these masonry bricks to the ground, you would think this was my first time building with LEGO. After I managed to build a simple square, in goes the tree. Because of the limit on what parts I could use, I'm going to have to brick build the whole thing. I'm using black brick, so it may be hard to see what exactly I'm doing, but I'm building a straight trunk with bricks that have studs on all sides called headlight bricks at the top so I can connect branches to my tree. I'm using black brick because I didn't have any brown headlight bricks, and I thought it would look weird to combine different colors of bricks for the trunk. Plus, the black kind of hides itself and is hard to see, so you don't really notice what color it is and you just focus on the greenery of the tree. Not being able to use actual leaf or tree pieces actually helped because the tree I ended up with looks much more accurate to the blocky Mandalore trees. But not gonna lie, this thing looks goofy. Something wrong here. But there is a simple fix. The branches were too long, so I swapped out the brick for plate, and now the branches are much closer to the trunk and it looks much better. Okay, playtime's over. Most of the easy stuff is done, and now I have to build the buildings. I didn't really know what I wanted these to look like, but after extensive research, I came up with some good reference images. Probably the most iconic and recognizable color features of Mandalore are its many blue windows, doors, and these bad boys. So I'm making a generic square building with floor to ceiling windows. The front wall needs a door, and if I had $1 for every successful door I've built, I would be wondering who's paying me to build them because I am terrible at making doors. So I'm going to go with a coconut classic here and just build a doorway and add black brick behind it to make it look like it's open. Up above the doorway will be a balcony because why not? I realized I have access to a lot more parts than I was initially thinking. Next time I do this, I will need to pick much tougher categories because I haven't really run into any situation where I needed a part I couldn't use yet. The coconut classic is back for the balcony doorway, which, as I'm looking at it now, is practically bigger than the actual balcony, but you know what they say, the bigger the balcony. And it will have some nice horizontal bars running up the walls to add that necessary texture and detail. I'm going to build those out of 1x1 bricks and plate. Now it's time to install those bars. I got this idea from using one of the reference buildings, and I am using a couple of headlight bricks in the walls to connect everything together. There was no easy way to do this, and I had to keep bending the walls and bars to get them into place, and the trans light blue bricks got in the way, but in the end I was able to get the desired look. I have no idea what to do for the roof, so I'm just going to start building and see what happens. I also struggle with building roofs or tops of anything, so typically my solution is to just not build them. but I don't think that'll work out in my favor this time around, so I'm gonna tile it off, add some slopes, and call it good. This building started strong but fizzled out towards the top, especially with that roof being a real buzzkill. So now all that's left is to add a few finishing touches and this building will be done. Taking a break from the building, I'm going to tile off the rest of the ground area. This mock is essentially just two buildings with a walkway and courtyard in between. Maybe this whole thing is on top of or on the side of a large building or bridge of some kind. I've been asked before what ratio of tile and plate I like to use for my floors, and I like to go with a 70-30 or an 80-20 ratio if I have enough tile. With the disappointment of the last building still fresh on my mind, I was determined to build something much more ornate and complex on the other side. Maybe some kind of large cathedral or government building. On the sides, I'm going to add in large windows, but instead of using round bricks, I'm going with square ones to give this building a different look. I'm going to frame them in with light bluish gray bricks to add in some more contrast to the dark bluish gray walls. One thing that I really love about the Star Wars galaxy is that George and his team took the time to hammer out different recognizable architectural styles for the different cultures, which allows us mock builders to build our own buildings and cities, but still have them look familiar and make you think of a certain Star Wars scene or place when you look at them. I added in more slopes at the base as well to make it look more gothic and ornate than the first building. I'm adding a row of tall slopes next because I want to add some curve and shape to this building, that way it isn't just a tall tube. Finally, I'm finished with everything and it's time to add the minifigs and show you the finished build. The Siege of Mandalore, which was featured in Season 7 of the Clone Wars TV show, shows Republic forces attacking the capital city of Mandalore, trying to free it from the grip of Darth Maul and his forces. It's such a cool campaign, and one that I'm sure I will revisit again in the future. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of the Mandalorian minifigs that were actually present in the battle, so I had to use some from the battle pack instead. The scene I built is a firefight between clones and Mandos in a small courtyard area between a Mandalorian cathedral and apartment building. I think my favorite part of this mock is actually the base. I was really pleased with the layout and overall shape I was able to create, which made what could have been a very simple and blocky build look much more fluid and dynamic, and all the sharp corners and squares helped it make look even more like a Mandalore mock. This challenge was a lot of fun, and Mandalore was the perfect place to build with the parts I had available. But it was much easier than I thought it would be. I was able to use pretty much all the pieces I normally do to build stuff, and really the only things I missed were pegs and smaller weird greebling pieces. So I think next time I'll pick some tougher categories of parts like Technic or Gears. Don't forget to let me know what you thought of this building challenge, and if you would like to see more like this in the future, as well as what you thought of the mock, and I will catch you next time, but until then, happy building.